I want to tell a story about an absolute raging psychopath and my experience with said raging psychopath. For the sake of the story and to keep things cohesive, I will refer to him as Paul. Now, getting into the backstory, how did I meet Paul? So, I previously lived in a supported accommodation known as a YMCA, and I lived in two different YMCAs. So, for the sake of the story, I will refer to them as YMCA number one and number two. Now, if you don't know what a YMCA is, it's a youth hostel, but if you want a bit more of a description, then I'd say imagine if you had a college campus and you had the ghetto, and then you put them two together and they have a kid. That's when you get the YMCA. I met Paul at YMCA number two, and the day I moved there, he was kind enough to introduce himself to me and show me his apartment. The first time meeting him was interesting to say the least. He serenaded me with his guitar, dropped the N-word a handful of times. Now, when it comes to meeting someone, I would have never had that on my bingo card. Nevertheless, Paul introduced himself and gave me some stuff to help me settle in. So first impression of Paul, I thought he was alright. Now, I've always been someone who likes to keep myself to myself, but especially in a YMCA, because it's like a fucking war zone in there. A large number of tenants in a YMCA are on the booger sugar, and that's never been something I wanted to be a part of. So, because of that, I hardly ever saw Paul around. Anyways, fast forward some time to when I do see him. He informs me that he's getting evicted and moving back to YMCA number one, which is where I used to live if I haven't mentioned it already. We fast forward till that time, and I would say we're more acquaintances because we was just neighbors. That doesn't define you as friends. So how did I actually get close to him? Well, I was going for a tough breakup at the time, and I was finding ways to distract myself from my relationship ending. I decided to take a trip down memory lane and go back to YMCA number one, which led to me bumping into Paul at reception. From there, he was a friend anyone could wish for in that situation. Despite me not being with that person anymore, he helped me deal with heartbreak, and he played a role in me getting back with her at the time. We were gaming every night, and Paul eventually introduced me to his siblings, which led to them becoming family to me. And it was around this time when I started to realize the patterns of behavior that he had, because he has more fucking lives than a cat. The amount of chances this guy got through life is absolutely crazy and needs to be studied. I don't know where I should start with the compulsive lying. He once made out that he had personality disorder, and I remembered this very clearly. I was in a party, an Xbox party with Paul and his brother and his sister. He started off by saying, yeah, I've actually got personality disorder. I've got an alter ego called Star. And he asked if I wanted to speak to Star. I was just in shock, and I was like, nah, I'm good, man. But so I guess he just brushed off what I said, my answer. And after I said no, he just took his mic off for a few seconds, came back and just started speaking in a deeper voice as if he didn't know me. Like, just imagine that for a sec, yeah? You're talking to your friend, all of a sudden, yo, mate, who's this, yeah? Hey, what you saying? My name's Star, innit? What's your name, yeah? What's your name, cuz? Aye, cuz. Aye. I think my image almost shattered at that point for him when I just kind of realized that, oh, nah, this guy's actually nuts. He is mental. And I have mental disorders myself, but I don't come out of anything like that shit. And this just reminds me of something else as well. A mutual neighbor back at YMCA number two. He happened to be Irish, and he met Paul for the first time. And then he tried speaking in an Irish accent, making out that he's actually Irish, whereas a mutual friend within the party said, you're not even Irish, like, why are you talking like that? Another thing I can think of off the top of my dome, the relationship that I did have at the time, I was with my girlfriend. Paul randomly decides to message her. He was trying to guilt trip my girlfriend for money. And by this point, he had already exposed himself for spending money, the money that we had sent him, because me and my girlfriend at the time had already sent him money. And the whole point of sending him money was because he needed food. That's what he said. But yeah, he admitted himself that he was spending the money on other pointless shit. I was just in disbelief. I didn't think the bar could get any lower at this point. my girlfriend, I told her straight, do not do this, because I think if I wasn't there, I think she would have done it. She kind of just like said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear like what you're going through." He was talking about how he was struggling, and he was saying, "Well, yeah, I don't have money." And because he saw that the guilt trip didn't work, that's when he just straight up asked and said, "Oh, have you got any money so I can get some food?" Yeah, I snapped because we knew where this was going to go. It wasn't going to go on food. The compulsive lying, the manipulative behavior, and now we're on to stealing. As previously mentioned, me, Paul, his brother, sister, we'd all play games, and one of those games was Red Dead Redemption 2. So I allowed him to borrow, keyword borrow, my Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, some time had passed by after that, and I messaged him saying, "Oh, yo, can I get my Red Dead Redemption 2 back?" You know what this son of a bitch says to me? "Oh, sorry, mate, I kinda sold it." I'm sorry, what? Who in their right mind thinks it's acceptable to sell someone else's property? And that's one thing. When I called him out on it, you know what his response was? Like I said, I do apologize. Motherfucker, you didn't even apologize to begin with. Not only is he saying that he apologized, but he's downplaying and making excuses like he's justified and like it's okay to go out and still sell someone else's shit simply because he apologized. Like, you have to be insane to think that's okay. And I get a sense of gaslighting as well, just from a few words. I just got a taste of being gaslit. Now I've realized as I've been speaking about this, each time I've had a falling out with him, it's progressively gotten worse, and I can't even remember every time we've fallen out. After the situation that I referenced, with asking my girlfriend for money, stealing from me, some time passes by, and he gifted me. He got me a gift. I thought, okay, that's a good start of an apology, and I was thinking back to how he helped me with my relationship at the time. So, and I'm not someone who holds grudges and has hatred for people, and I'm all for forgive and forget we're under the right circumstances. I want to add on top of the layer of the attention seeking. As people do, they tend to appear offline when they're playing a game so they can avoid certain people. I hadn't spoke to him for like a decent amount of time at this point. Like he wasn't responding to me whenever I would ask him if he wants to do something. And I was in a party with one of my friends once, who happens to be female. He joins the party out of nowhere, and I know for a fact he looked and saw that I was in a party with a girl. And within the first minute, he's trying to flirt with this girl. He's asking her what she does, and then she was saying how she specializes in massages and stuff. Like that's what she's studying at the time. Obviously, he was kind of leading it into a sexually charged conversation whilst I was in the party, by the way. But for me, it's like that's awkward as it is. But this girl had a boyfriend, and he was sat right next to her at the time, and boy was he fucking pissed. Yeah, I messaged her after apologizing, and since that day, I've appeared offline for nearly 1,000 days. I forgot to mention at this point, Paul managed to slither his way back into his family's house. Fast forward another X amount of time, and I'm no longer talking to Paul. Paul messages me out of the blue. I was going through some stuff at this point, and I could have dealt with a friend. So I told him, please do not lie to me and don't give me a reason for me to distance myself from you. And he promised me. So eventually he gets into the updates on his life, and he's telling me how his mum's kicked him out for the second time, and he's currently homeless living in his boss's office. He was telling me how his boss was abusive and going as far as not allowing him to go outside. Unfortunately, I was stupid enough to believe him. Him getting kicked out was true, but after him telling me this, I felt awful. So I reached out to his sister, and it was then revealed to me that he lied about the situation. Because he was telling so many conflicting stories, he basically exposed himself for lying. But you wouldn't have had to dig yourself out of that position to begin with if you wasn't such an arsehole. He finally realised he dug himself a hole that he couldn't get himself out of. After this revelation, I finally decided to block him. And this is when shit hits the fan. And a potential plot twist, I think I'm going to make the thumbnail this text message. And the plot twist is it was actually me that sent that text message, not the other way around. Now, the reason why I sent that text was because I found out some information that made my stomach turn. So once I heard this, I decided to unblock him and just tell him what I thought of him. After that, I didn't hear from him again. I do think I blocked him though, to be fair. But how do you think he responded to this? Did he just let it go? Did he find other ways to contact me? Yeah, you could say that. I have a YouTube channel that I stream on. He came into my chat under a name I wouldn't recognize, and the first thing he said was my address, and then proceeded to say, "This is what happens when you pray for someone's downfall." I think he does suffer from main character syndrome, but except he's not the hero. Just because you're a giant gaping arsehole doesn't make you a villain. You're not worthy of the title villain. You're just an NPC. And first of all, how can you say this is what happens when you pray for someone's downfall? Because to have a downfall, you actually have to be successful in life. You're a waste of oxygen. You're a waste of space. You're a waste of sperm. And did he let it go after that? No. I just kind of left it for what it was. I didn't want to give that bellend any more of my time than I already had. So what he then decided to do was go onto TikTok and post my phone number in several comment sections of popular TikTok videos. And then for the next year, I kid you not, I was receiving random phone calls from all across the world. And I was even added into a bunch of group chats as well. It was crazy. And a fun side story. I answered one of these calls one time, and the person I was speaking to on the phone, I explained what had happened, because by then I knew that he was posting my number somewhere. I just didn't know where. And then she told me that she found my number in a TikTok comment section. After she heard this news, she said, "Oh, what's this guy's phone number?" And then I gave him Paul's phone number, and then she called him. And then he confessed to it on the phone without even realizing that I was there. I could overhear the whole thing because it was a group of them. So Paul admitted himself that he got played. And I done fuck all. I literally done fuck all. And again, the more I talk, the more I just reflect on the amount of stuff that happened. He actually sent me death threats once. And to this day, it does still make me laugh because, all offense intended, by the way, but this motherfucker's built like Snorlax. I'm someone that believes in karma. And I left the situation for what it was, and now he could be potentially rotten behind bars. But it's not difficult not to be an arsehole. That's a decision that you choose to make. And for that, you pay the price. And this one is not on Tesco Club Card, you wanker.